I just realized that for my first video, I didn't really have an intro. Hey world, I'm Mariko. This is my channel, Little Red Sun. Welcome. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's a reading. Oh, guys. How's everyone? I personally am a man of many emotions the last couple days. Even just since getting home today, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm fussy, I'm hungry, I'm ecstatic, really feeling the fire energy. Anyway, that's just a quick check-in. How is everyone? Currently it's March 3rd, 2025. Some interesting planetary stuff happening. Not gonna lie, I feel like this is part of that fire. All right, everyone. I don't even know if we're gonna get to the tarot. Well, we're gonna get a little bit of tarot. This has been the longest download of my life. This has been the most interesting reading because it has been a 10-month download. And I don't care, I'm filming this once. We gotta let this go. Right before I started to film, I was like, I gotta eat. I'm crazy hungry today. And even when I was making this goddamn pancake, the download, this message just continues to go. So this message is not gonna be for everyone. And that's okay, because whoever it is for, you will know. Whew. Okay, I've taken a lot of notes. This is the type of reading I would suggest. I personally love to listen to readings while I'm cleaning or going for long walks. This is the type of reading I think it's going to be a long one. So again, if you need to cook supper, do some cleaning, do some laundry, you know, we should put it on pause and come back. Because like I said, there is a lot here. It's a great message. But the length of time, so this is what I realized when I was walking today. I realized today was the day. I was like, I'm going to film this thing. We got to get this. I need to put it out. It's been 10 months. Now, hold on to this number because we're going to circle the timing thing. We'll come into it later. But just like the tarot, the 9 is technically in numerology the last number. But in the tarot, when you have things like the 10 of Swords, the 10 of Wands, it is the end. So as we go into this message, I myself am grateful to hear that the message is, there's a lot of endings, but there's some great beginnings, like super juicy. Like a lot of songs came through, like, anyway, I digress. Let's get on. So I decided to name this The Bull and the Matador and the Lion in the Cage. So what started this whole download was last June. I was on a walk and they kept showing me a bull and a matador. Very, very clear. And I was like, okay, what do you want me to know about this? And so what they kept showing, the energy of the matador is, I believe most of you will be past this energy. When I was getting the download, it would have been more of a warning. For whatever reason, the messages just kept going and it just was not the time, which I didn't understand. I still don't, to be honest. Maybe someone in the comments will have a better understanding of timing. Maybe it just has to do with the 10 months. Oh, no, there is things we'll touch on it. But in the time, it was definitely more of a warning. And so the matador is essentially a coward. They're a trophy hunter. You have this animal that is strength personified, you know? But they really emphasize the arena, that it's the event, it's the spectacle. It's making a spectacle out of a tremendous, wild thing that is powerful. This I'm just gonna say it. This reading is definitely about a narcissist. And I'm really, oh, this word's getting thrown around a lot. And on one hand, I'm grateful because it's bringing awareness to the true nature of what is referred to the cluster Bs, NPD disorder. Narcissistic traits, we all have them, and you can be toxic with a lot of narcissistic traits. I'm talking about true NPDs. If you know, you know. If you don't know, count your blessings, okay? Matador is the NPD. Back to the spectacle. It's like, so whoever I'm reading for, you are the bull, you are strength personified, and it's as though you've been invited to an event, or you've been set up to believe that something isn't what it is, you know, from appearances, maybe even to the bull itself. It's like, wow, like look at all these people. Ooh, it's colorful. People are cheering. We're gonna play this game with this like little red cloth. And it was just so utterly sickening about, I personally don't love the Bull Matador in real life. I think it's disgusting. But this energy, you know, again, being center stage and being so cowardly that you can't, you know, it's the secret, the hidden 10 of swords, right? But true to narcissists, they always have flying monkeys. So the audience being the flying monkeys. Like the narcissist really needs an audience because they're so cowardly. Very rarely are they doing things in the light. Always a sleight of hand. But yeah, in the time that I saw this, it was really about a warning. But like I said, we're past that. I'm about to go into editing. And so going into the Bull and the Matador, essentially what the whole message is about, it's about the sleight of hand. That's why the whole shoe story is that you can't see it. You're getting stabbed. This 3 of swords, 10 of swords. It's about being attacked and not either seeing it coming or not seeing who it's coming from. And it's going to be on display for everyone, going back to the spectacle. So I thought I would just do a quick interjection and throw this in to save some time and to be a little bit more clear and concise. The red cloth represents, to me, the root chakra. That is what they were showing me. So a lot of this, the attacks that either have taken place or will take place, that root chakra. Everything that gives you stability, like the basics, and really destabilizing. Okay, so anyways, moving along. While they were showing this to me, because I was on a walk. On this country road. And as I was walking, there was something in my shoe that was like stabbing my foot. Fucking hurt. Like really, you know, it wasn't just a pebble. And I kept taking off my shoe and feeling, putting the whole hand in and being like, what is it a shard of glass? Did someone put a tack in here? Like, what is occurring? And I did this like 15 times. I was like, my foot was bleeding. Something had torn through my sock. It was bleeding. And I was just flummoxed. I was like, what the fuck? Like, this is literally insane. I was like, there's nothing in my shoe. I don't know what's occurring. And then Spirit was like, you need to like lift. You need to like pull up. And when I pulled up, I had seen that I'd actually stepped on a nail. Regardless of this, if this is a past energy or not, these sorts of people tend to linger. So always be mindful. We're also living in a very weird time. Like, you know, like there's some strange energies, some strange people, some strange ideologies and ways of being in this world. So as much as I feel like this is done, it's being handled. Always be mindful. So this is where we get exciting, because the next thing they showed me, I was on a drive. I love driving. Where I live, or at the time last year when this was happening, I was living more rural, and I would go on these really beautiful, just no purpose kind of drives, just let the magic happen, windows down, tunes going. And so what they showed me was, I'm not sure if any of you have seen when eagles, I'm thinking it's fighting. I feel like it's locked in as a fact that it's fighting, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's a mating thing, but I think it's aggressive. If you've seen eagles, when they fight, we're gonna go with this, it's fighting. It's like they lock their talons together and like they just free fall, but like spinning upside down. So they're showing this to me, and that you are this eagle that has been just, man, this other eagle has locked into you, the matador. They are now in eagle form. It's that, again, not letting go, it's the latching, like talon, and actually there's a way, oh yeah, this. So the locking in literally will just like free fall until you die, very aggressive, very committed, very unnecessary, in my opinion. And then what's so great is you see these two eagles free falling, spinning out of control, and then out of nowhere, there's like the biggest, and I'm not talking like regular size, like we're talking like giant sized Big Daddy Sky Eagle comes in and just scoops up, just handles it, just out of nowhere. This big ass eagle just comes in and it just plucks this nasty ass dirt kicking snake eagle out of your grips. But because it's so quick and literally out of nowhere, you're this eagle that's still free falling, because you were doing this thing with this other eagle, but big Sky Daddy eagle came in and you're kind of confused as to what the hell's going on. So you're free falling, and then, oh man, I wish you could see what I see, because again, the feeling that follows it. And they really emphasized this particular way of putting your hands together. But out of nowhere, this other eagle comes in, and right before you hit the ground, they grab you, and they fly up with you. And then you're doing the same thing. It's not malevolent, it's benevolent. And what was once really, again, the actions are still totally chaotic, where it kind of like the figure, the infinity sign, where it's like you're up, you're down, both of you are up and down. But what was once totally chaotic, dangerous, upsetting, confusing, you can't release yourself. Oh, even, yeah, in my chest. This other eagle, this is the divine counterpart. This is where it's like, kiss the chef. It's so juicy. But the energy now of free falling is like, the words were, hold on. Yeah, exhilarating, invigorating, intoxicating, playful, merriment, mirthful, magnetic, and electric. But they're really emphasizing the two states, that nothing has changed. You're still free falling, but it's who you're with, the intention, the motivation. So when you're with a dirt kicking snake or some creepazoid who's locked in on you and will not let you go, terrible, terrible, a 900 out of 10, terrible experience. Yet this same dynamic, or the free falling rather, but with someone whose intention and motivation is just like holy sacred union, actual true love. Again, the feeling, and I did, like, on that particular day when I was driving, oh man, it just felt so good. So we have the eagles. Now, follow me, because it's gonna be a bit of a reading. We're going all over the place. We have a lot of territory to cover, but it all intersects, okay? So I had done a meditation way before this download, and the topic, the thing that they showed me, they started off with, they were like, the Ascended Master. And I was like, okay, again, where are we going with this? Like, the Descended Master. And I was like, oh shit, Cinnamon, where are we going? Where are we going with this now? We're getting juicy. And so what they showed me, that everything has its equal. So if you are more on the ascended side of things, that no matter where you are in spectrum, you will have your equal on the other side of the spectrum. So the Ascended Master will always have its counterpart as the Descended Master. And just like that eagle dance, you will both play kind of a role of being ascended and descended, but essentially it's part of my understanding of what the narcissist role is spiritually in this life. I don't know if it's a karmic agreement. I don't know if they go rogue. I don't know. But if we were to go with the idea of you can only be as great as your opponent. Sorry, I have sometimes ADHD brain. So going back to your opponent, that if we were to liken the Descended Master as being your divine spiritual lesson counterpart, that in martial arts, you're always bowing to your opponent or enemy, because essentially you cannot reach your highest and greatest version of self without having, your opponent, that grit. You gotta wear you down a little bit, and you're only as great as your opponent. Hence why you bow and give thanks to that person, because without them, you wouldn't be able to grow, essentially. Oh, and the other thing that ties into this is the poison is the medicine. So if you think about the Ascended and the Descended Masters, when you're ascending, it's about choosing love's highest vibration. The highest and greatest version of love. And so if you think of what the Descended would be, and if you think about narcissists lacking empathy and being on the sociopathic spectrum, the other thing that they kept showing me was someone holding up the head of their enemy. So it looks as though it's cut off, and they're referring to Medusa, but Medusa's not really showing up. It's showing as like a Medusa type thing. And then they're going Rahu Ketu. So if you're not familiar with Rahu and Ketu in Vedic astrology, and this is where I'm going to mess it up. Yes, Rahu, I Googled it. Rahu is the head of the snake. Going back to dirt kicking snakes. And going back to Medusa, what was her head filled? What was the hair represented on Medusa? A bunch of hissy snakes, all fussy. I believe Rahu is the head of the monster. No body. And so what they were showing me is that the narcissist can't possibly have love because the body isn't there. It's just head. It's just mouth. It's not even cerebral. It's just mouth. It's just devouring. Now this swings back to, we're gonna quickly swing over to what I was saying about just making a pancake just now, because I was like, oh man, the hunger. And I've been working a lot with fire energy, and my constitution is Pitta. And they were pointing out the two different types of hunger. And I was like, okay. And I was like, Spirit, I just want to eat this pancake so I can film this. Where are we going with this? And if you think about what I just said about Rahu, when you're ascended, hunger is it's passion, it's vitality, it's life force, it's an appetite for creativity, it's a life force, And when it's descended, it is an endless there's no stomach. It's just a mouth. It's just devouring constantly. It can never be satiated. Ever. There's nothing to satiate. Hold on. I put all of my notes in order until Spirit decided to start talking through the pancake. I quickly now swing around to the second title, The Lion in the Cage. So as I was walking this morning, and going back to my mood the last 2 days, like anger and fire. I've been working a lot with fire. But here's the thing. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about fire. I've been I'm looking at the flame right now, thinking about my own fire, thinking about constitution of like heat and even when I got home, I'm like, I'm hot, I'm cold, like, you know, like opening windows, closing windows, like not being able to regulate the fire. So when I was walking, I was pretty fussy, even though there's nothing to be fussy about. But I'd already been working with my fussiness, and I had my earphones on, and I heard, "You need to listen to the song Rusty Cage right now by Soundgarden." And I was like, "Yeah, girl, we'll listen to Rusty Cage." I grew up on that. I was like, okay. And then they showed me, oh, what deck is it? I'll pull out in a sec. But in one of the tarot decks, the Eight of Swords is depicted by an angel in a cage, but they kept showing me a lion in a cage, which kind of goes back to the whole bull, right? Because it's a very majestic, it's the epitome of strength as well. And they kept showing me the lion in the cage. And I was like, okay. And they're like, well, we want you to listen to Rusty Cage. And I was like, okay. But it also had the energy of like, I was already in that mood where I'm like, oh, I just want to bust out of this. Like these fucking, oh, I don't know. Like I just wanted to be expansive, to break out of this energy. So I put on the song, which I do love. And yeah, and it does. It talks kind of about that, like being able to bust out of the chains. But then what they showed me is that the lion was able to free itself from the cage by being in its true strength, which is the lion was able to be in its heart and be vulnerable and just cry, to grieve. That even though it's this majestic thing, it allowed itself to fully grieve in the cage. And it was the tears that rusted the cage, and the lion was able to fucking bust out. How fucking beautiful is that? Also, great fucking song. And then Spirit was like, you need to tell a story about the first time you ever heard that song. So it's going to be a bit of a story. In the millions of readings that I've done, whether it be for YouTube, personal clients, people from all over the world, I never talk about, names don't come through. Very rarely do names come through. If they do, that's great, but it's very, very rare. And I don't ever really talk countries. But the thing that has been coming through the most throughout these downloads was Canada, which I'm Canadian. I got the sense that I think there's probably quite a few of you who are relocating to Canada. And if so, welcome. So, so the first time I heard Rusty Cage, I was my childhood best friend, Becky. We were in Vancouver, and her brother, who is quite a lot of, we would have been about, oh God, shit, we were really young. Ooh. 12 or 13. No, younger. Fuck. Oh, when you become a parent and you think about the things that you did as a child and a youth, sometimes. Okay, regardless. Becky's older brother, he used to sell drugs and like res cigarettes, and because they were American and Canadian, so like they would go down to the res in the States, come back into Canada, and like whatever. So to us, he always had the newest Jeeps and vehicles, and he always had a killer sound system, and like we were just scraggly ass poor kids. So But because he would sell res smokes, we always had like smokes, and he always had the newest albums because he'd go down to the States. And so I can see this day so perfectly in my mind's eye, because he picked us up in his Jeep. The Soundgarden album, Bad Motorfinger, had just come out. As soon as we sat in, he hit play, and like, my God, that album. And then Spirit was like, tell them about that summer. Jesus Christ. Sorry, now. Getting into some shenanigans. My friend Becky was more into acid. I was more into pot. Thank Christ. But we ended up getting some acid, and we hung out at the museum with the two lions. So what Spirit again wanted to show me is that this divine union, it's very big kitty. It's very fire energy. Fire is all over this reading, as well as just the last few days. Like fire, I'm looking at the flames, I've been working with fire, I've been working with Saint Germain, working with my own fire. Now the two lions, and it's funny because they want to point out my bracelet. I don't know if we can really see it here. They're not lions. The person said that they were panthers. It could be jaguars, but the emphasis, they kept showing me these two lions, yeah, not kissing, but like facing each other, like kind of like my bracelet here. I don't know why, but Vancouver seems very important. Like they wanted me to tell this story, and there's definitely, as we move further into the downloads, there's a real emphasis on your youth. And this goes for myself included. Let's see, where are we on here? So there's something there for whoever's listening. In this way of reclaiming an energy. Maybe your divine counterpart has something to do with your youth. I don't know. And yeah, I very rarely think of Vancouver, but there's a huge, they keep spelling it out for me in capital letters, Vancouver. But it's interesting though, because my grandmother, who lived in Vancouver, and that's where she's buried, we connect a lot, and she came in real strong yesterday. I don't know. There is a lot happening, a lot coming in. Okay, so moving along, because we'll swing around. You'll see when we. Okay. Oh yeah, so the poison is a medicine. In things like homeopathy and other medicines, the idea is that the thing that can give you the symptom is also the thing that can relieve it, right? If you have a narcissist in your life, well, in my experience, we all have to have trials and tribulations. And no matter what those are, my own personal belief is it's always about, everything is meant to return you to self, to return you, whether you believe in a higher power or not. I know for me, it's like, I unequivocally, I don't believe, I know love. I know love. I've seen grace in action. I have experienced a love that supersedes anything I have ever. So whenever I've doubted things and fought, I get spicy. I like to fight the universe sometimes. But the one thing I've never doubted is love. The poison is the medicine. So what may seem like the worst thing in the world is actually going to be the thing that cures you, okay? The other thing they showed me was the Four of Swords, and they kept saying arrest and then arrested. So part of maybe that big sky daddy eagle, for some of you, that person might literally be going to jail, because also the Eight of Swords for me can sometimes be my jail card, depending on how the reading is going. So for a lot of you, well, for all of you, either way, you're gonna get arrested. You're gonna get arrested. But they definitely had an emphasis on arrested. going back to my love of driving. And the whole summer, oh my God, it was so magical. So magical. In the summer, I really took up part of my self-care, and just generally filling up my cup is just getting in the car and chasing storms. Not chasing storms, but where I live, I'm on more of in the Ontario, Quebec region. And so in the summer, you get these epic, rainstorms. And so where I was situated, you kind of could see where there'd be a couple storms in a few directions. And so I would either kind of dance around them, like chase them, move away from them. It was like pre-sunset, so kind of that like 4 p.m., like that really good sunlight. And so I was driving, and as I was coming back to where my art studio was, and there's a lot of farms. Again, windows down. I don't like AC, especially because where I live, they get that real sweetgrass smell. Windows rolled down, you get that humidity, you get that sweetgrass smell. Woo! Cinnamon. So I had the windows rolled down, and I'm cruising, I'm crooning, and I look, and what I see, I hand to God, I've grown up all over across Canada. I have grown up near horses, by horses. It's never happened to me. It was so fucking magical. Yeah, I looked to my right, and these 2 horses had just escaped from this farm. Like I don't know what fence they hopped, but they were free, and they weren't on the highway, but there was enough fields beside me that they were running together. And it was pre-storm. So like, oh, again, the ions, the negative ions, you could feel a real buzz in the air. And then to have these and I have a horse. Like, horses are very dear to me. I have 2 little horses on my wrist here. To see these, again, powerful, majestic, regal animals, and the power, and they were galloping beside my car. What? Anyway, we have to collect because there's so that had happened, and then a few days or weeks later, they brought it back to, it's about being wild, but also harnessing, allowing, being in control of your wild nature. So being wild, but harnessing. And at that time, I was working a lot with rage and fury. And so that's what Spirit allowed me to name those horses. They're that's rage, that's fury. They have a place at your table. They're powerful. They'll get you where you need to go, but it's no good if you haven't harnessed that energy, And then they showed the chariot. I have this one deck with the chariot where it's got the 2 horses. Anyway, moving along. In the same time, we're still in this driving period. A lot was occurring. So there's this one day that sometimes I would go on 3 hours one way kind of drives. So a 6-hour drive. And sometimes I just get a bag of chips. I'll just pick a random place. But there's certain highways in between Ontario and Quebec where on this one particular highway in a certain direction, the highway, it's 4 lanes, but they had clearly blasted out the mountain. It was it's very mountainous, rocky. And they were just all roads are open for you. Because they kept showing me this man-made blasted out. And I was team, what is the message? And they're no, what we're showing you is again, that what was a huge obstacle, a mountain itself, again, is this giant thing, but this obstacle, this major impediment, blasted out for you, and again, 4-lane highway. So they were all roads open, and I was great, love that download, that's wonderful. But then they showed me Moses, and I was oh, where are we going with this? What does Moses have to do with this? And they were showing me the parting of the seas, and I was okay, yeah, biblical buckle. And I was like, like waiting. Sometimes I'm daft. I apologize. Like this morning I was apologizing to the team. I was like, I'm so sorry. I'm not quite getting it. Can you work with me in a different image? And so finally what they said was that the rock is that some obstacles are just obstacles, but now these regular insurmountable obstacles, gone. But going back to this fucking matador, fucking nasty eagle energy, that any other obstacles, impediments put on your path, it's going to be miraculous miracles that you will witness. That any other further obstacles or impediments, the universe, God, spirit, big sky daddy eagle, they will literally part the seas for you. It will be mystical and magical and otherworldly. Either way, it is being handled. They also wanted to say, and I love this because I really actually have an owl tattooed on my arm. They were like, driving is the human version of flying. And I was like, oh, I really related to that because I love driving. Maybe it's also because I'm a Gemini. I love to be in motion, but it allows me to go into what I call the in-between. It's freedom, no destination, it's movement, and I can just kind of enter what I call like the place in between, thinking, non-thinking, and that's usually where I get my best downloads. And I do when I go for long 6-hour drives. On that same drive, this was a 6-hour drive, so this is where I got a lot of downloads. This was a juicy day. The storms, the drive back. Oh, okay, yeah, we're gonna get into it. So after all of this, I'm driving, and now we're probably in like hour 2, and they were like, you need to play the song Low by Cracker. Now, for anyone who's an 80s baby, you'll probably remember Cracker. This one song, Low, it was like, I think their main hit. But one of the first, the only lyric they kind of pointed out is there's this section of the song that's like, a million miles, a million miles. Now remember this, because again, now we're getting into that timing thing. It's been this thing that has taken a very long time, including this reading. 10 months, that is outrageous. I have never in my life. When I got into listening to that, because again, I grew up on this. And I was like, oh shit, cinnamon. Let's get into our the youth songs that I grew up on that I still listen to, but some of them I don't as much. And so I put on this 90s playlist, and then the song Corduroy by Pearl Jam came on. And the line that they really wanted me to focus on is, the waiting drove me mad. You're finally here, and I'm a mess. And so, again, it's like you've been waiting to get this dirt-kicking snake out of your goddamn life, out of your energy, leave me the fuck alone, but you've been waiting for, I don't know, for me, it really does feel like this divine counterpart, but just anything that is, like, beautiful, magical, wondrous, again, electric. And that's, like, also a great song. I love it. And I'm not even a Pearl Jam fan, but like that song, oh fuck, gets me. And it reminds me of the Eagles, right? Where it's just like, I think for a lot of you, this person's gonna come in, they just kind of show me this disheveled eagle, right? Where you've just been fucking having your ass tossed, fucking free falling for like 800 feet. You're a hot mess. But it's like, you're finally here, right? But they're the one that scooped you up with that little talent that it takes me a million years to get my fingers to do. But actually, if you put your hands like this, it feels really good when you lock in. The Eagle Claw, highly recommend it. So we had that song. Now at this point, I'm driving back, and the most incredible storm. Like, this was the summer of all storms, and just delightful. it's the thing I love to do. And the thing I would recommend, or what they recommended, is like, you don't need to do what I do, but find the thing that makes you feel free, that also can connect you to a time in your youth that felt magical, you know? Music seems to be the thing that can take us there. And that's another thing that they wanted to talk about. So as I was listening to all these songs from my youth, and my cup was full, like just, oh, it was hitting, and the storm is going. And so what they showed me is, this is kind of more into, we're getting into the realm of magic. If you're being spiritually attacked and you need to hide out, music allows you to quantum jump. You can do different timelines. You can access something emotionally where you can hide, that no one can find you. I don't know if that makes sense. It's the way that I felt it and saw it. Because it's true, any person that listens to the music that they listen to, I think scientists said it's like, I think from the age of like 13 to 18, and that's why everyone, when you hit your 30s and 40s, you're like, oh, the music of my youth, it was the best, and and you hear a hit, and you're like, you're taken back. Same with Alzheimer's patients. It triggers a memory, but it's the emotional piece. Because when you're dealing with malevolent fucks who are parasitic and draining you and spiritually attacking, sometimes you need to be left the fuck alone, but also you need to re-energize. The re-energizing, it's the claiming of energy back that you need. Think of it as like on your phone, like the battery dying or in video games. So what they showed is that if you're in a real deficit, pick a timeline or a song or both, go back there, and just fuel up, and guaranteed, like, no one will find you there. These spiritual attacks, these dark fucks, they're not going to find you. The other thing that they said that you could do is that depending on the age that you were, you can leave things for yourself at that age there, because now you're your future self, and so you can leave things for yourself there to be like, hey, P.S., this thing's gonna be coming up, or like you might want to avoid this, or I'm gonna just love you. I'm gonna tell you a couple things. It's the emotion, right? Because when you think about it, all of this emphasis on how we create things, you have to have the emotion behind it. So going back to the root chakra being attacked, the matador, the red, when you're continuously being attacked, and especially in that three areas, the last three chakras, when you're in fear, when you're completely depleted, you're stressed, you're fighting for your life, you're just dealing with fucking ding-dongs all day long, hard to get out of that deficit. And you need, and especially if you want to get to where you're going, like to have beautiful things come, you have to have the energy behind it. And you can't fake it. If you feel like shit and you're being stalked or harassed, or you're just, again, dealing with like some just nasty, nasty human beings, you gotta find a way to connect to the heart. And the easiest way to do that is through music. It will get you there. It'll get you excited. It'll get you pumped up. It'll make you fall in love. It'll help you with your grief. Like, music does all the things, Anyway. Okay, swinging around again to the timing. Hold on, just reading notes. Oh, wait, nope. We're going to put a pause on the timing because there's still one last piece to the whole car ride. So now I'm driving back, and it's late at night, and oh my God, the storm that was occurring, and I think it's a superpower. I don't know why, but I can always drive. At some point, the storm catches up to me or I catch up to it, and it is no visibility. It's just terrible, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It's a superpower. I drive perfectly. Like I'm locked in. I'm locked into something, and it's like I'm a thunder being. It's like something is occurring where it is just raw magical power. But in this storm, again, windows rolled down, but they showed me that I was working with the elements, that you can work with the elements in this way, again, to literally feel like energize is not even come close. Again, electric. So, and what they pointed out to me that I was working with all 4 elements in that moment of, so the windows rolled down, that was wind. And then the rain, oh man, that rain came down, water. Now, I know people say not to do this, but in the summer I cannot help myself. It's just the way that I roll. Toes out. I have the toes on the gas. So that was the earth, the grounding. Toes touching. No shoes, no socks. And then the lightning being the fire. And I was like, fuck yeah, girl. All day. I'll do this all day. So if you have been in a low place, and if you do love driving, again, not stuck in Vancouver traffic, Toronto traffic, I can tell you right now, but if you have the means to do something like that, I highly recommend it. Don't drive in a storm though. Like, I mean, drive in a storm, don't drive in a storm, but I mean, I want everyone to be safe. But if you can, that sounds like something you would like to do or experience, I say, just be mindful. Okay, so now we're into fall. I think it was like the October or the November full moon. It was an intense one. I forget which one it was. But, so I was at my studio, and out in the middle of nowhere, beautiful. And I used to spend a lot of time out on the porch with the trees and the moon. So on this particular night, I was like, and it was just perfect. I could see the moon just perfectly. And I was like, all right, moon, all right, universe, all right, spirit team, what are we talking? And I am not a psychedelic person at all. Like, I already have too many psychedelic experiences without actually putting psychotropic things into my body. And so when I was looking at the moon, it became very psychedelic for me. Like, it was a truly hallucinations with the moon I have never experienced. But when I was writing out the notes for this second time, because I lost the other notebook that I wrote it in the summer, they wanted me to point out that when you, fucking eagle claw, but it feels so good. When you lock in with this person, your divine counterpart, this holy sacred union, it may actually feel, and actually you might have a psychedelic experience. They really emphasize this. So when I was talking to the moon, there's like a couple conversations going on. And this times back into the timing of things. What they told me is that, because I was personally asking some of my own questions, and the classic prayer of like, how long? Like, how much longer? Like, when? How long? How long? And what they showed me and what they told me, and it's interesting because I personally would never, but they were like, they wanted you to know that warmth. It's not because this thing is just here already, and it's like this divine timing. It's literally about distance. And what they said is warmth has traveled a long, long, long ass distance to reach you or find you. Okay, I'm back. I'm just gonna have to hold it. I'm gonna have to hold my phone. It's gonna be plugged in. So, after the whole warmth thing, now it was weird because warmth, it's not like it's just love. It's like, if you, okay, you know what it is? It's like if you have felt bereft, if you have been in the Five of Pentacles, the Five of Cups, your whole life, or for a long time, it's like there is a lack of warmth. If you have never known true warmth, nurturing, tender care, love, or if you feel like you do not belong to this earth, that you come from somewhere else, and that your soul tribe, or whoever your people, holy smokes, my stomach, oh my God, the hunger. Excuse me. Apologize. It's very whiny down there. It's not like we hear about from other, readers and kind of the tropes of like divine timing. Like it already exists, or like, quantum time. You can just jump into it. It's like, well, no, actually some things are actually, it takes a long time to get here. They're not here. It's coming from somewhere else. It's like even a plane. Yeah, sometimes wherever you're going, it might take an hour, but then there's some planes, like if I were to fly from here to Australia or New Zealand, that's like a 24-hour flight, Some things just take a long time. It's not here. So then the energy changed, and it was like, I could feel all this like energy of like people bustling, preparing, getting ready, excited. And then, and again, kind of big capital letters, and what I kept hearing was, it is here now. It is here now. It is here now. And again, this like preparation, this getting ready, all of these energies or people, like, it felt like people, but more probably like energies, like all of these things being like, oh man, you don't even know, but like, it is here now. This thing that you've been fucking waiting for your whole goddamn life, it is here now. And I was like, okay. And then, and then the last thing I saw, and I saw it against the sky, it was like, very soon, and it was written in script, very soon, XO, Andy. I was like, well, that's weird, because, like, to be honest, I know of Andys, but I don't have any close Andys in my life. Like, I kind of have those periphery Andys. And I kind of, holy smokes, my stomach, Jesus, Murph. So at first I didn't know if that was, like, meant for me, if it was meant for someone else, because some of this full moon stuff, it was just for me. It wasn't a part of this download. So it wasn't until I was, like, writing it out tonight, but I was like, no, because what I heard yesterday on my walk when I went to the cemetery, I live by this massive cemetery, it's gorgeous, and you can just spend literally 10 hours and not ever complete the cemetery. And it was like a good -25 yesterday, but like crisp blue sky, and I was grumpy as fuck, but then I was with the trees and with the spirits and, the sun, and it was great. And so when I was asking about this, they were like, this one Andy, they're like, it came about trust. They're like, do you know them to be trustworthy? Like the things that they say, do you know them to be trustworthy? And I was like, yeah, actually, I would absolutely, unequivocally trust them my whole life, and everything that comes out of their mouth, I trust. So like, that's the message, is that you can trust this message and the affection behind it. So maybe for some of you, you have a shit ton of Andys. I just happen to not have any Andys. A shit ton of Mikes in my life. Michaels, but not any Andys. And Andy's a great name because it's both a feminine or a masculine or a gender neutral name. But the fact that it was written in script, I know with the XOXO. So it's a very personal, it's a very personal and just like a loving way to be like, this thing is here. Now, I'm going to go back to one thing that's really fun to do. I don't know if you've tried this. One thing I love to do when I'm driving, I love to, I bring the whole spirit team. Call me crazy. I don't give a shit. You can think I'm crazy till the cows come home. But I like to play a divination game with my different spirit team, including ancestors, where I have a playlist. It's my liked playlist. There's like, I think we're at 1,200 songs. And I'll put on random, And before I hit play, I'll be like, I'll say to someone specifically on the spirit team. But I love to bring in my grandma every now and again. Grandma gets a seat. So I was like, Grandma, you're up next. Random, next song. What's the message? It's a very interesting choice because, for instance, when I asked my guardian, one of my guardian angels, what their song was for me, and like this was so crazy. I do not have a police song on this like playlist. Somehow they pulled the police song. It's that fucking creepy song, but when it's coming from your like spirit guide or like guardian angel, it's very touching. But it was that every breath you take. If you read the lyrics to that, when again, if it's not coming from some creepy ass dude or creepy ass lady or person, it's like a beautiful message to receive from a spirit, a benevolent spirit. So when Grandma was up, I was like, Grandma, you're up next. Let's go. What do you want to say, Grams? And there is an artist that goes by Yowler. I love her. Actually, I only know this one song. I get weird. Sometimes I just obsess on one song and that's it. It's WTFK. For my grandma, I was a little bit taken aback. She was a spiritual lady, so I was like, wow, very contemporary, very, very indie, very, very kind of, yeah, like, I don't know. I was taken aback. And then the song though, like, she has a beautiful voice. And it's a bit of a slower but heavier, again, more alternative song. But you can't hear most of the lyrics. And I was like, Grandma, like, what is the message? But the few words that I could hear, I was like, there's emotion. So I was like, is this just like, you want me to tap into the emotion? Because I can't really hear the words. And I was like, WTFK, like, are you trying to say like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on, Grams? But going back to the narcissist, Grandma was playing this song. When we get to the end of the song, and I'll read you the lyrics, and it's the one part that you can actually kind of hear and understand. And the only other lyric that I could hear and understand was like God's servant, and I was like, okay. And then the very end, and she really sings it in this beautiful way. But the lyric is, I want to taste it, I want to make it stay. But the way that she says it, and again, it's the emotion, but it gave me a very specific image. But it's like, I wanna taste it, wanna make it stay. And what they showed me, it's the only time psychically, humanly, I have been able to dip my toes into the psychic world of the narcissist. And while I was making the pancake, it actually made me cry again because I tapped into it and I was like, so here's the thing. I've always had this saying of never pity a creature. But when I first was taken to this place and I could see this person and going back to like this devouring mouth, like the narcissist doesn't know how to love. Like by definition, I'm not talking about the toxic trait. If you go look up psychologists who talk about the cluster B, and cluster Bs are borderline personality and narcissistic personality, but we're talking about the narcissist. The spectrum is, by definition, there's no empathy. No empathy. Okay? And it's not hyperbole, it's not like a smattering. They're dangerous and terrible for a reason. Sociopathic spectrum, okay? No heart, no empathy. They are incapable. And my experience of this has been very true. I don't mean pity in the way that most people think of pity. It's like when you see this creature, it's like seeing a creature that has rabies. They don't understand that they are literally cuckoo manuku. And they're showing me this thing that thinks their understanding of what love is. I want to taste it. I want to make it stay. It's like thinking, if I devour this thing, that's the only way I can make it stay. But seeing them also like so confused and like, I don't know how to, it's truly, like I said, I have spent a lot of time psychically, spiritually, and as just a human being from a psychological, I really trying to understand the NPD. And when I tap in psychically and spiritually, mostly I can't, to be honest. And through this song, it allowed me to connect to this person or persons and their state, where they are, like this wild, rabid creature that thinks that they understand what love is, but they're a bodiless head. So it's an idea. And they just think, oh, this thing that I love, that I don't want to ever leave me, the only way I can make it stay is to devour it. And I don't know why, but like, I just find that, and please, like, my sadness is not one of, this is like a true spiritual, heartfelt, it's just so lost but dark as fuck. Because as I said, I don't pity the creature, because as I'm seeing this thing not understand and is in their own way grieving something, they want this thing to stay so bad that they're going to devour it. And just like the eagle, they're so committed to locking in that they're willing to destroy both of you. And I'm telling you, like, the emotional landscape of this place is just, I don't cry for these people ever, but this song takes me into this tiny window, and I don't know. And I don't know why this song needs to come out for you guys. I would recommend to listen to it. Okay, but actually, so when I was writing it, I was like, you know what? I've never actually looked at the rest of the lyrics, because I'm like, I can't understand it. Oh, if this isn't the fucking NPD song. There's a couple more lyrics, but it says, if want is evil, I am lost in the dark. Skin is peeled, fill me up. I want to taste it, want to make it stay. Okay, so we'll leave that there, because now we're going to swing back into the real good juicy shit. But, yeah. Hold on. Where's my fucking... Oh, we're gonna clear the air here. Pardon your ears. We are free eagles. We are locked in on something else. Okay? Okay. So, back to today. So, sometimes when I work, yeah, my downloads come in at the weirdest times. Walking, working, and driving. that space in between. So while I was working today at this client's place, they were like, you need to put on Romeo by Donna Summer. And I love that song. I fucking love, Jesus Christ, get out of here. There's a lot of messages popping in. I love Donna Summer, and I love that song. And the soundtrack to, oh my God, Jennifer Beal, Flashdance. Okay, that soundtrack, Kiss the Chef. I grew up on that shit. It's so good. It's sexy. It's like that, Jennifer Beal, babe. Maybe someone's birthday is December 19th. Well, again, fire. Oh, hell yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. Okay. Talk about that. Yes. Yes. We didn't talk about that, so I have to swing back around to this for a second. Sorry, this is such a long reading. Oh, and I still have to show you the tarot card. Oh, fuck. There's 2 tarot cards out of the owl deck. Okay, hold on. Okay, I found it. Okay. So, so I put on Romeo because I love that song. And I was like, yeah, girl, like totally feeling myself. And then it was the actual soundtrack. So then it went to the next one, which was called Manhunt. And I know this, like I said, I grew up, my mom rocked this album, okay? Like all the moms in the 80s. It was Jane Fonda, Flashdance. Everyone was getting divorces. A lot of moms were sad. Everyone was singing Total Eclipse of the Heart. You know, if you know, you know. So Manhunt, but it took me, because I was taken to, I don't know who is in this crowd tonight, but the divine feminine, and you do not have to be female identified in any shape or form to be a divine feminine. I always show up as the Empress. I always seem to be the divine feminine. All of the women I date are divine masculines, and this isn't about femme butch shit, okay? This is just, but I was like, okay, they're really emphasizing, because if you go and you listen to Manhunt, it's like, whoa, when she gets into the chorus, it's very, female sexually empowered, where I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. And then they were like, we want you to listen to Wild Thing, Tone Loc. Again, and they were emphasizing the breathiness, and then they're like, Push It by Salt and Pepper. Again, very breathy, very, very sexual. Oh, no, wait. You know what? The next song after Romeo, it wasn't Manhunt. That's further down on the record. It's Romeo, He's a Dream. It's He's a Dream where she gets really, I don't know, where I felt a little bit like I shouldn't have been in my client's home where I was like, I felt like I was doing something naughty just by listening to it. I was taken to a psychic place where I was like, oh, I could tap into some of the energies in this reading, but I'm very excited for to any and all who are in this energy. Fuck, you go, girl. You don't have to be a girl to be. I call everyone girl. Yeah, and then follow it with Manhunt, but this, going back to the fire energy right now, like, woo, shit, Cinnamon, this divine counterpart. When I say, again, this locking, like the exhilarating, magnetic, invigorating, oh, spicy, passionate, and then the last song, it's like, when you meet, fuck, it's gonna knock your socks off. It's gonna be really good, and I'm very excited for any and all who are in this. But then it was beautiful because in the last song, it's like you start with a lot of fire and passion, but the last song of what this relationship, this holy sacred union, Coming Home by Leon Bridges. Love this song. It's the only song I listen to of him. Again, Coming Home. And it's a beautiful song. It's fucking sexy and romantic, and just Kiss the Chef. Okay, total side note here. This came up when I was like feeling really dysregulated, and I got home, and they were like, be sure to tell whoever's listening they need, this is for anyone who has perimenopausal or menopausal symptoms. For those, you can identify whatever gender, but if you find yourself in this position, blue cohash, black cohash, phenomenal. I would recommend getting the strongest. So it's an herb traditionally used to regulate hormones, but also a mood stabilizer. So any kind of that, again, chaotic energy, especially around perimenopause and menopause, hot flashes, all that craziness, and like the mood swings. And you can look it up. I know, I'm just some dude on the internet talking about eagles, lock and claw. So like, you should go look into this, but you will see a lot of people will also recommend this for the very same thing. It's like a real thing. So someone here perhaps needs that. And then, okay. Now see, I'm holding my phone. Okay, so going back to, I know I thought we were gonna leave the devil matador energy, but the summer that I was asking when I did pull out the cards about this energy, and I was using, what deck is it? Tarot of the Owls, bird energy. These two cards flipped out. Now let's see, can you see? You see, okay, so this is the devil, and this is the Hierophant. You see how actually the fucking cards, now, I don't know if it's as spectacular to you, but when my team was talking to me, what they said is that unbeknownst to this matador, skeezy, dirt-kicking snake eagle, now the devil owl, it's like they don't realize that through their actions, like, they have brought you, they're hand delivering you, essentially. Like, they're participating in, they're the one that actually has brought you to your person. If you hadn't met this NPD, you would have probably, I mean, we don't want to get into that game, because like, I do believe if it's meant to be, it'll be, but it's the ascended master and the ascended master and the descended master work together so that you could heal the love. You have to know what love is to be able to receive its highest form. And so, because you have done that work, you can now receive. But going back to the sadness, like with that song, but it's like, had you just been not the devil, not the descended master, you could have had this person in your life. But instead, your bullshit and fuckery, parasitic, fucking dark energy is literally, you're like actually working, like you work together. The descended and the ascended master, they work together. And then it leads to the holy sacred union. Oh man, when I saw those wings touch, when the spirit pulled out these cards, they flew out, and then I put them on the floor, and I was like, oh my god, like their fucking wings are literally, and I don't know if the artist did that on purpose. Anyway, so we had that. Yes. We're gonna swing back around quickly. I forgot to mention this. We're gonna swing back around to the line, going back to the idea of strength. So they gave me two examples of, I've been thinking in my own life a lot about this, about how softness and gentleness and grace, like our ideas around strength and like what weaknesses is and what true strength is so fucking distorted. It's so patriarchal, like it's just fucked. And so I personally have been working a lot with softness and gentleness, but being like a fucking mountain. And so they gave me this example of, they showed me, I don't know if you're all familiar with the artist but she has this one piece where you see her, she's out on this beach on a stormy day, and she has this huge whip, and she's whipping the ocean. I really love this piece. I know a lot of people don't love her, but I was moved by this piece. And then they juxtaposed it to the other night. We had a big, epic snowstorm, not too recently, or fairly recently, very recently. And they were showing me all of these soft, big, fat, fluffy snowflakes, the kind that fall really slow, you know? But, like, we fucking received, like, 6 feet in, like, 8 hours, you know? Point being, but then they showed me, again, the Matador energy of, like, you know, like, same with, like, whipping the ocean. Like, how outrageous, you know? And the ocean's just like, okay, girl, like, whip away, but... you know, I am a force to be reckoned with, and even though I'm just kind of gently lapping around, and it's, you know, going back to the snowflakes, they showed me then someone, as these snowflakes are gently and quietly falling, you know, someone trying to take a bow and arrow and trying to, like, hit all the snowflakes, and you're like, that's outrageous. And also, you can be this soft, gentle energy, but, like, man, after 8 hours, no one could fucking get their cars out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can be these things that, when it adds up, it's immense. It's immovable. It's a force to be reckoned with. And anyway, that's what they wanted. That was the download. This is what I mean. We didn't, other than those 2 tarot cards, I was excited. When I initially was getting it, I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to get in the tarot to see, like, what." No. We're over an hour, easily. Chicken baby, she's... Yeah, girl? Are we done? Yeah, she says we're done. She says, cat daddy, I need some pets. Anyways, whoever this is for, I hope this gave you something. See, now I'm energized. This is what happens. Every time I get into a reading, I was feeling like ball sacks before I started the reading. Really tired today. Just all over. And this was... I'm really glad I got to film this. And anyone that remembers me from the other tarot channel that I had, yeah, we're doing things different. And so if you recognize me, great. If not, welcome to the channel. This is the first video of the new channel, Little Red Sun. I decided to call it Little Red Sun. Interesting fact, Mariko, in the Japanese version, and depending on, I guess, syllabics. Is it syllabics? I know syllabics is for, I like to took certain things. I think it's syllabics for also the Japanese. Whatever. Depending on the region and how it's written, Mariko can mean either all things circle or little red ball. And I really identify with the dawn sunlight. And so I'm not going to tell you my middle name, but my middle name also means that first red ball of light of the morning sun. And so that's why, and I'm a little dude, not very tall. So that's why, Little Red Sun. Anyway, I'm Mariko. Thanks for joining me. I hope whoever made it all the way to the end. Oh man, I always laugh when tarot card readers, like, if you make it to the end, throw in I'm going to give you this word, and, like, put in a heart or put in a unicorn. If you make it all the way, put in a little red ball or, like, some kind of, you know, yeah. All right. Good night.